to add them, Nicole, as they come in. Okay, so sorry for the change in the date. And then thank you. I really appreciate you guys being able to do this on a Saturday. So what we want to discuss, I had January 8th as the first meeting of the new year. That does not work for Nicole. I am better on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and weekends. Mondays and Wednesdays are my worst days, but I will make it work for whatever works for other people. But I would love to hear from you all. Just let me know what works for everybody. So Nicole, what's your best date?
Tuesdays or Thursdays are fine as long as it's not like that third week of the month. There's a lot of like
Okay.
DA and plan commission meetings, and they're like doing a bunch of things in my coverage area right now.
Okay. Um, like for James, what day works for you, James?
I would also probably say Tuesdays because like a lot of the city commission meetings that I cover on Wednesday evenings. And some things in my coverage area tend to be later in the week, so definitely early in
Okay.
the week would also work. Thank you.
Okay. But did I let Alexandra come in? I don't think she's here. I'm not sure if she's able to make it or not. Anyway. And Jenny, what days work for you?
Just for January or for like
Forever, for all of 2025. Because we gotta change from Wednesday. Wednesday's been we can't do Wednesdays anymore. I think we need to just change it up a little bit.
I think I'm pretty flexible, and yeah, I can usually make most things work. I don't really have a strong preference, which I mean, like Thursday morning I have a standing meeting, but we usually don't do it like early in the morning, so
right.
that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So for the people who will be here next year, I think that covers who's on the meeting right now. Although I would like to ask, I know Hazel's not on the board, but she is on the board. She doesn't want to be, but she is. But Hazel, do any of those days, are you okay with any of those nights? I can't, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Is she the iPhone?
Yeah.
She's texted and she said yes.
Okay, great. So I'm leaning towards Tuesdays on those. So get a new date set for that first meeting of the year. Either January 7th or the 14th. I think that's a Tuesday. Those are Tuesdays.
Okay,
Oh, God.
I'm
Yeah, January
unmuted
7th.
now.
Oh, what'd you say?
I'm unmuted now. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to do it up with the phone. My power's out. Going to be out
Oh.
till 11 p.m. and it's friggin' cold here. So go ahead with the meeting. I will listen and try not to interfere.
Okay, so but you're pretty flexible with those. I'm just gonna put that you're flexible, Hazel.
Yes.
So Tuesdays, since James and Nicole, though they say those are better, they're 100% better for me. My worst nights are Mondays and Wednesdays. They are bad for me because I have my digital editor. Most of that I'm doing about 3 hours of work in addition to teaching on Mondays and Wednesdays. I've made it work, but not without plenty of cursing this year. So I would prefer Tuesdays also, but I can do other days as well. Just I would prefer not Mondays or Wednesdays. Okay, just very quickly, Sergi, since you're here, can you just give us, I think just give us the update. I know there is just so I don't know if everybody's knows about all the issues with the membership. I'm sure James doesn't know all of this yet, but anyway, I think we just need the updated number at this point, Sergi.
Hazel was kind enough, thank you, Hazel, to do some numbers crunching. I got the latest roster, I think it was December roster. And Hazel noted in her email that we're back up to 513 members. There's been, and I was looking at our previous numbers, the highest that we was back in March, where we were about 541, Hazel, just to put that out there. And we dipped to the lowest about 488. That was back in October. So that's just, kind of give you an overview. There's some issues in, because we had sent out some, sorry to see you go renewal letters. And a lot of people, well, we got several responses. Some people were saying we were already members. Some people saying that they could not sign up no matter what. And we got varying responses from National. Crystal has been awesome in kind of resolving some of this. But I'm still a little bit confused as to, and we'll talk about this, Hazel, offline. What we're reporting as not being updated, not being members, and what National is saying is reporting that they're not members. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but what we have in our rosters as not being members, they're not reflecting the same. There's some sort of discrepancy. So I want to hopefully work in some capacity to help with that. I had communicated that I won't be running for the board this year. I've had some awesome promotions, but they're really taking a lot of my time. But I'm not going anywhere. I still want to help out in whatever capacity you guys will allow me to. But so those are the issues that we're dealing with. There's another issue as well where I believe if someone wants, if they get 2 renewals back to back, then Impexium gives them a different membership number. So there's some issues on the national level that we're dealing with, and there's some confusion with that as well. So some folks aren't able to pay, some folks aren't being recorded with the same number. Some folks are members, even though we are reflecting that there aren't. So that's some overall issues. But to answer your question, we're at 513 members now, according to December's roster.
That's awesome. I think that's great. I think we've lost a couple. We're slowly getting towards that 488 number. And I was
Right.
like, is this just like is this a sign of something bigger to come? Like just at the
Right.
national level, the local community level, the regional levels, but to see it back up at 513, I'm going to chalk that all up to just the confusion with members completely. I'm not in that number. You actually have 514
Right.
because I am not a
Right.
member, even though I
Right.
should be. The last communication, and I have been looking through emails. I have something like, I should tell you just so you know what kind of life I live. I have right now 4,498 unread emails, unread. So, that's my life. A lot of it is crap that's like come from marketing, like Dick's Sporting Goods, 40% off. Actually, I usually open this. But you know what I mean? Like there's that kind of emails too, but I am like trying to sort through and find where I've paid. It said I was paid up till October of 2025. Maybe that was a glitch on their end when they sent that to me, but I am looking for that. I don't know who it was meant to come by. And anytime I search my email just for like FPJ member, 5,000 emails come. I can't go through every one of them, right? So I'm
Right.
probably just going to pay again. What I would suggest doing, because this has happened to me twice, I got a refund once for it. So it happens. It's like proven that it happens because I have been refunded for and maybe that's what happened. Maybe I was given till October 2025, then they gave me a refund, and I don't know. But what I'm going to do is create a document in our Google Drive here, just like where you would find these in our board folder. And I'm going to actually put in there, if you want to do this, you don't have to. I'm going to say Stacy Overton Johnson renewed her membership on this day to this date. This is the confirmation email on the date it came and who it came from. Just so you can easily look back for your bank account or in your emails to find it, to send it, because I know that I've paid it and I have to now pay it again because I just don't have the time to look through all these emails, just look for the proof. I am getting through I don't even know. I have 4 or 5 different bank accounts. I have no idea which one I paid with. So,
Are you billed annually or are you doing the monthly?
no, annually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that I overpaid one year and it said I was current till October 2025. I know it said that. I have that email somewhere, which is the one I was trying to find. Because I talked about it at our conference, our in-person conferences when that happened. I was like, oh, now I'm paid till October 2025. I mean, I had a conversation with, I don't, one of you, somebody, and now I'm not. So anyway, I was quite
Right.
surprised to go in there and find that I'm not active. I was like, well, that's great.
Right.
So
No, I mean, we
technically I
had an
shouldn't be
issue.
allowed to run for the board, but I think I'm just gonna pay again. And if I do ever find it, maybe just get another refund. I don't know. So we'll
Yeah,
figure it
we
out.
had the
It's not
same
Can
that
I
much. It's
issue
speak,
with
100.
please?
we had the same issue with SPJ Louisiana board too, where they were like board members, and we were like, we know we paid, and we weren't active, and we had to go back, one by one. So it's definitely not an isolated issue.
Yeah, and that's
Curious
what I
how.
think that's what that concerns me actually. I was thinking, okay, it's probably just me, but the fact that it's
No.
happening that you're saying that because I am of the I've been sort of putting the effort into looking for this, but I absolutely value my time, so I'm like I'm just going to pay again.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to count how many times do I do that, right? So
Hmm.
that's my concern and I'm trying to I don't know. I'm trying to not do that, but I think that's what I'm just gonna do. And,
It's just really illuminating doing, and I haven't been able to do it month by month, but the times that I have reached out is very illuminating as to who, can't pay, who, just the little issues that are popping up, and it seems perhaps individualized, but it's just a small, I guess, kind of look at what could be happening nationally.
right.
Folks just walking away in frustration, maybe. There was one guy that said, well, I've been trying and I just get him, but it's definitely not an isolated issue. And I have been
Yeah,
refunded as well, where I have been charged twice and they refund, but I do it monthly. So it's not that big, it's like $6 or whatever. So it's like not that big of a deal or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely not an isolated issue. And I wonder how it's impacting it, our numbers overall nationally outside of our community. So yeah, but we're
yeah.
up to
Well,
513.
Hazel just sent a text to me and Jenny and maybe Sergi? I don't have you saved. Um, that I'm on the December roster. I have not paid.
Oh,
So I
okay.
don't know what happened. I don't know. I'm gonna go in and I'll go in and look later to see if I don't know. Maybe they found something and didn't. I don't know. I have no idea. It's poltergeist. Okay. So moving along, the webinar. Thank you very much, Sergi. And I know Hazel put a lot of work into that too. So thank you, Hazel, so much for what you guys have done with membership. I know that membership is frustrating, and I know that that is a huge job. Sergi, also, I've I need to take the time to send you I have a big email for you. I just have a lot. I'm just so proud of you and
Oh, thank
congratulations. And
you.
just publicly speaking, I just want to publicly acknowledge that you are the epitome of what hard work, like how
Oh,
it pays
thank
off.
you.
Because
Thank
you
you.
have the promotions you've had and where you've landed this year has been inspirational. And I'm just so
Thank
proud
you.
to know you.
Thank you.
Um,
My boss was talking about me the other day, and I said, remember going back to imposter syndrome, and he was like, "Well, Sergi is in charge of all of the magazines." I'm like, "Who is he talking about?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's me!" So this is
wow.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and to do it with you have 5 kids, right?
yeah. 5 children and taking care of my mom and dog,
I
cat,
mean,
and it's a.
sometimes when I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, what would Sergi do?
Oh, thank you very
How would
much.
Sergi handle this?
Oh,
Maybe
I
she
would
wouldn't go to
scream. I
every
close the door.
single
That's right.
game. Maybe she would say it's okay to miss one game, Stacy.
Yes, 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 Stacey,
Okay.
yes.
So anyway,
But I'm definitely
I
not going
will,
anywhere. I definitely am a freelancer. I believe in what we do and I want to get in where I can fit in. I just don't want to I just worry about the numbers all the time, Hazel, and I wake up in a sweat saying, "Oh my God, numbers are going down. Where are the numbers?" And but I think it's not completely me. That gives me a little bit of whatever, but I just want to give someone else who can adequately deal with this because yes, it is a big job and you really have to do a lot of following up and making sure that folks are where they say they are, and just it's a big thing. But I will be here. I'm not going anywhere, and I will help wherever I can. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is perfect. Yeah, we would love to have you. If you want, if you want to stay on and do the work, which I think is what I'm understanding, or
Yes.
do the membership, you can keep the title. I mean, even
Okay.
just for, because nobody's running for that. If you want to keep the title, and I will just know you can't make it to, you're doing, this is such a big job. I'll know that you don't want to be necessarily committed to the meetings, and I totally get that.
Okay.
But that's up to you. But just so you can hold on to the title. I mean, sometimes that is something
I
you can
would
just,
love that. I would love that.
yeah.
I just worry. The reason why I said let me just officially step away is just because sometimes it's really hectic with for those who know, I was started as a freelancer, and then they promoted me to associate editor, and now managing editor. So there are times where it's like you can't even breathe because we're on publication deadlines, and sometimes the issues are back to back. So that's why I worried as to whether I'll be able to make it to a meeting and just kind of have any brain cells to do with
Right.
it. But I would love that, Stacey, if I could, and I do want to
Yeah.
continue to follow up. Like
Yep.
I mentioned in the emails, I starred the emails where I need to do follow up with in our Gmail. And I had mentioned I do want to help out with the email because I'm already in there sometimes when I'm actually doing the following up. So I can also help with emails if needed. But I put stars where someone, it'll be me, following up with Crystal, and I want to see how we can work out a system where I guess before I send out the renewal letter, I guess I'll go to Chris and be like, "Look, this is who we have reporting as not members. Can you check that out before I send that out and have the
Okay.
embarrassing? I'm
Perfect.
already a member." So, but yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely be here, and I'd love to have that title
Okay.
if that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes. And I think that we're all having this discussion right now. I'll make sure that new board members know, and the board members who are not here right now, that you're going to be doing the work for this anyway, and nobody's running for that position. But she's not, she has already said out loud she cannot come to the meetings, or all the meetings, or most of the meetings, or any of them, right? So I'll just make sure that everybody's on board with that. But what you do is so valuable. I'd love to have you still be involved. Now, I had for the community email, Solomon was meant to be doing December. I know Solomon's had a tough year. Hazel's been doing that. I've gotten up to a couple and answered a couple of the emails, but Hazel's been doing this for the most part in December. I'm doing it in January. Ginny is on for February. Sergi was on for March. Sergi, if you want to do March, I can leave you in there. But if I
Yeah, I'll
said
do
we need a
March.
new volunteer. Okay,
I'll do
I'm gonna
March, or
put that.
unless you have someone else, but I can do emails too if you'd like.
Um, I don't know why I have this line through everything I'm writing. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in there. And okay, I don't, sorry for I'm in some kind of weird mode here. So I'm gonna leave that in there, and then we can talk about any other months, or if you change your mind, Sergi, if you want someone else to do it. We don't need to decide that necessarily
Okay.
today.
Sure.
Webinars, I'm just going to touch on quickly because we're really close to 11:30. The taxes one did not, again, Solomon's had a difficult year, and he was pulling together experts, but nothing went forward on this. So, and that's fine. Ruth and I have discussed this a little bit, and Ruth, we've talked about doing it in January, and I don't know if we're going to have an expert for this. I think if Ruth has an expert, or if maybe we could even use the guy we used last year, which I think is Hazel's accountant, to do, but that would have to be scheduled very soon. Um, I will work with Ruth and Hazel on this and just see if there's anything we can or should do. And if we don't, there's enough stuff on taxes. That's another thing that Ruth and I said, like, we're not going to beat ourselves up for it. If we can't do it, we can't do it. There's enough on taxes that people can get that information. So very quickly, the webinars for 2025. It's going to depend on how many people are on the board, but we're not going to do more than everybody's going to do one, or you don't even have to. If you want to do one, we're going to have you on there to do one. to coordinate it, not to host it, to coordinate it. That means you're getting the speakers, you're scheduling it, and you're working with the publicity coordinator who's going to be, unless unless somebody else comes in to run against Nicole, it's going to be Nicole. Which I think is too late to nominate yourself anyway. So the coordination of that and sort of getting the tech support person going takes some work, but it's not overwhelming. It's not hours and hours and hours. But we're not going to have where it's more than one person. I think that is what has led to some of the burnout. I think we're trying to do too much. We'll talk more in depth about this in January, about not biting off more than we can chew, and then just making sure that we're not over stressing. I think all of us, everybody on the board this year has been, okay, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. And that's great. But I don't feel like any of us give each other enough or give ourselves enough space to say, no, I really can't do that. So I want to help you. I want to help do that. I want to help myself say no. And I want to help you say no. This is volunteer. We have to remember that. And we shouldn't be, there are some people on the board who are super stressed out with the time that they have committed to it. And it doesn't need to be that way. I don't want it to be that way. So we might only do 4 webinars next year, I guess is what I'm saying. It could be that we have 2 people working on 1 webinar. We'll make them really good. We're going to make them really valuable webinars, and some popular ones, something that people really want to do. So let's talk about that a little bit more in the January meeting. I'm just throwing that out there. If you all disagree with me and you say, no, let's do 6 or 7, then I'm still only going to do 1, but you guys can do what you want, but I cannot do more than 1. We also have to remember that we've got an in-person conference next year in DC. It's going to be in October. So it gives us a little bit, it's not in March, so we've got some time for it, but that's going to take some time to do as well, to coordinate the sessions for that. We're going to be, and in January, we can talk about the ideas for the national convention, or seminars, workshops, sessions, whatever we want to call them. I'm going to talk more about this also in January. Let me write this down so I don't forget. I had a conversation with National about them supporting us and help for the freelance community. And one of the things we talked about was getting a student journalist to help with the databases. And as incentive for the student journalist to do the databases, because it's a lot of work, but we need to take that work off of Hazel's plate. To do the databases is potentially covering their cost to the convention. So covering their fee, maybe paying a stipend for hotel rooms, something, right? It seems weird to do that like with an adult, fully successful freelance journalist, but I think this is good incentive to get people on board and involved at a younger generations. It is a lot of work, and I know that none of our work is paid, but for a student journalist especially, I think this would be good. But I think we really need to figure this out for the databases. I think they're super valuable. I want to keep them on board. I want to keep the databases going. I know Hazel does, but we cannot expect Hazel to continue doing what she's doing with that. So we'll discuss that more in January. Part of that also, just to throw it out there, I have reached out to National about this, and they are hopefully talking about it. But we could also potentially use some of the freelance fund, have someone apply for a grant for that. And the freelance fund committee, which is me, Susan, and Hazel, can discuss this too. I've got to objectively discuss that. I can't, just because I want it to happen, I have to listen to all the sides of it. So we will, just in the background, we'll be talking about that too, I hope. Okay. Oh, I've just been talking and talking and talking. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about before we leave each other?
Do we have an update on the elections, and do we need to do anything else with that?
So the elections, that's a good question. Thank you for bringing that up. The election, Election Central, which you should have access to on the Google Drive, has the new dates, updated, but voting starts December 30th, so in 9 days, and the results will be announced January 13th. Nothing is contested. If you're running for a spot, you've got it. It's too late for anybody else to come in and run. I think, I don't know, I should double check with Hillary. If you have somebody who is interested in running and it's too late, just write them in. There's an open at-large member. There is, I think that Alexandra is gonna run for secretary. I've had some conversation with her about that, so I think that that's happening. I haven't actually checked to see if she's officially on the ballot yet, but anyway, doesn't mean if there is something that's open, doesn't mean it won't be filled necessarily. But right now it's not a contested election, so we're still, we'll still hold the vote. We still have to do all of that. But that starts December 30th. So just look for emails, and please make sure that you vote so that we've got some numbers in there. We don't want it to be 4 people voted. So and again, if there's anybody you want to write in for an at-large or anything, sometimes that's all it takes to get somebody involved. They might be hesitant to nominate themselves, and then somebody else nominates them and they're like, oh, okay, maybe I will do this. So if you have a friend or know somebody who might want to get involved, that's a good way to rope them in. All right. Anything else? I'm just kind of going back through and making sure we touched on everything. And then, so we're going to meet, it's going to be like 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to meet in 2 or 3 weeks again, so we can continue this conversation then. If you have anything you want to talk about for the January, especially the first of the year, if you have anything you want to talk about in that January meeting, please email it to me and I'll get it on the agenda. I really want to make sure that everybody is, letting themselves be heard and talking about something that is, like, I wouldn't have known necessarily to change the days if Nicole hadn't reached out to talk about that. So those are the kinds of things that please reach out and, we're just to voice any things you want to talk about, any concerns you have, and we'll get it on here. And I will send out the new meeting date sometime in the next week or so. All right, anything else? No? Feels like I'm just talking into the void sometimes. I wish I could be on camera. Maybe I'll figure that out. All right, let me just look. Oh, James is going to be in DC starting in the summer and fall. Excellent, James. So, oh, James, you'll be super valuable. Well, for finding experts for sessions too, then. Same with Hazel. Maybe Hazel and James can work together on that. Okay. I think that's it. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to everybody. I have a daughter who identifies as Jewish. This is so random. We're not Jewish, but I know, I'm really sorry. But her great grandmother, so my husband's grandmother was Jewish, but hid it from her. So she didn't say she was Jewish, but her last name is Kirstein, and she fought against the Nazis in World War II, and she actually killed 2 Russian soldiers, which she also never talked about. But they were abusing her. They broke into her house and were doing bad things to her mom and her sister as he shot them. So my daughter this woman's a legend to her. She never met her because she died before she was born, of course. I actually never met her. She died 1 week before I met Corey. But my feminist daughter is so proud of that. She officially identifies as Jewish, where everybody in her school thinks she's Jewish. So I don't know. Hazel, you can tell me if that's kosher. I don't know if that's kosher, but she does tell people that she's not religiously Jewish, that she is ethnically Jewish. And I'm like, I don't know if that's right either, but okay. So wonderful. Okay. Yes, Happy New Year, Hazel. Hazel's texting me. Okay, so happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas to everybody. And we will see you in the new year.
Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Jenny. Have a great rest of the year, you guys. Okay, I just stopped recording. For anybody else who's here, I'm going to end it now. Okay, happy holidays. Bye, everybody.